Hello, beautiful friends. We started with this a very, very special chant and really a transmission and also directions from Thich Nhat Hanh. Maybe some of you worked with Thich Nhat Hanh. And so this is the time when the prophecies are being fulfilled. As you know, this is the time that we were told is the time of great dissolution, Maha Kayala Praya. And so this is happening right now. Sorry, I didn't pronounce it correctly. But you know what I mean. The great dissolution is happening right now. I think everyone who is attuning to these ascension energies through meditation is noticing something is going on, something is dissolving. And we mystics know exactly what is dissolving. What is dissolving is the false self, the possession of the ego, as we called it, that identified only with the first three chakras. So Yogananda, he went as far as to say that the first three chakras, which is the physical, the emotional, and the mind, the human mind, the constantly thinking mind, he said it's important to transcend those three as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, because they are the downward pull towards matter. And he even said that those pulls, all three of them, are in the realm of the adversary. And we knew the adversary under many different names, but in Arabic, that name was Satan. So we are dissolving the very, very strong, tricky association only with the body as the self. We are changing language. For some people, language will no longer be the way to communicate also, because suddenly we are being activated and, nothing happens without our effort. We are making ourselves available to those activations of dormant skills, talents, abilities, and it is all happening through our DNA. So on the earlier call, I spoke about our time at Mount Shasta, that some of you came to join us, and I'm so grateful for you, and also grateful for all of you who did not join us and who held space and kept going energetically in the circle and sharing. So it's all equal gratitude for all. So on the earlier call, which I recorded, I shared a lot about our work with Don Umberto and our work also with Orin. And now we will focus on our work with Orin. And that is now, for this ascension process, the work with what we know as Devas. So the devic queendom, the queendom of the mother, of course. We will focus on working with the angelic queendom, and that of course also includes the work with the elemental queendom. I call them queendoms by design because, as you know, all the devas come from the mother. She is the ultimate deva, and we call her very often in yogic traditions Devi. And so all devas are smaller fractal beings of the mother. And we will find some very, very large devas. And you could say that that's the spirit of a form. So since we are in creation that takes on a form, not always the form of matter. Matter is just one way of having form. There are obviously light forms, anything that is made of light. And even matter is made of light. Even matter originated in spirit. And so every form has a soul or has spirit within itself. And we would call that Deva. At the level of cosmos, we have the sub-body of cosmos is many universes. We are in just one of the universes at this moment. Each universe will have a mother of the form of the universe. And then within that universe, as you know, we have many other sub-bodies that we call galaxies. And these galaxies will also have a mother of a form. For us, the mother of the form of our galaxy often is seen as Hathor, for example. We have then within galaxies many solar systems, and each sun and each planet and each star will have one large deva, but also many smaller devas. Our planet, we call our planet often Gaia. You could say that Gaia is the deva, is the consciousness of the planet. So that's a deva. And then within her, we have uncountable amount or numbers of devas. We have a deva for every plant, for every flower. We have a deva for every rock, for every formation, for every mountain. We have a deva for even like the spirit of the land. Each area has a different deva. And together it's the devic queendom. So together they create the ecosystem of cosmos. Through this Lion's Gate, we received the impulse from higher realms as humanity to start working with the angelic queendom. And angels are a race. They are just like we say humanoid race here. We also have the angelic race, and it is not limited to just one planet, to just one realm. It's a race that you can find in many different realms. And what defines them is they are beings of light who, just like we would say we are humans and we are slightly different from animals. So the angelic race is their own race. And what creates that feeling of wings is actually the flow of light. And the flow of light, the most advanced flow of light that we know is always the toroidal field, which creates a tree of life, which means there is a flow that goes through what we would call an energetic spine. Of course, in a light body, it's still going to be an axis. And so it is like the tree of life, and the light flows up and it sprays out from the crown and it goes back down and it circulates. And as it circulates equally on both sides, and it circulates light, it circulates sound, it even circulates smell, it circulates shape of geometries. And it is the scent is always something to do with what we would call beautiful scent. And of course, we also had those beings who didn't have nice smells. So mystics who meditate a lot, they develop this, the ability to smell energy. And so beings who have this beautiful circulating light, they also have a beautiful scent. And then it looks like they have wings. So we will be working as humanity, actually. This is happening, of course, to everyone around the world who's looking into the ether, is looking a little bit into the energetics. There is a huge opportunity for now for this ascension process, so this stage of ascension, to be working with the Devas. At Mount Shasta, we did work with Devas, not only with Orin, but also with Don Umberto. So again, it's more about it in the video that we recorded before. But during our event, I had a brief visitation from the Green Tara. And she came in new light, in new luminosity. And Tara is the mother of form in Buddhism. And so we ask, it's impossible to say, for example, let's say you work with Don Umberto, who's from the Karo nation. They would not call Shiva Shiva. They would have a different vibration, different name, but they would be still describing the same being. The same, of course, with Tara. The same with when we call Mahaprakriti, again from the Hindu tradition or Sanskrit. So names do not matter, actually. We are simply describing energies of cosmic nature. In ancient Egypt, and I would assume also in Atlantis, but I'm not quite sure. But in ancient Egypt, these forces of cosmic nature were actually called Neteru. So again, we have these cosmic syllables. So they would be called Neteru. Neteru. And of course, that's how the word nature came about. So we are always describing conscious cosmic forces when we speak about these beings. Right now, we are stepping into a whole new relationship with Neteru, with Cosmic Mother Nature, with Mahaprakriti, with Green Tara, with Pachamama. We learned, for example, last time from Don Umberto that Pachamama doesn't mean Mother Earth, but it's the mother of a form. Well, that's what we call Mahaprakriti. Mahaprakriti is the Cosmic Mother Nature, and she is always the mother of a form. So this is an amazing, amazing unfolding here. And I wanted to mention that yesterday, this earth experience a complete shift of her own electromagnetic nature. And personally, I would actually believe it was because Don Umberto, the priest from the Grand Central Sun, was able to transmit 6 initiations from the Grand Central Sun during our event, during our gathering. So to describe the work that we do at Green Tara, that we do here together, is always creating opportunities for divine charity. Charity doesn't always just mean giving money and providing stuff. It is a very important aspect for us. But another, actually even more important aspect is providing opportunity for service. And so providing opportunity for service, it means, for example, allowing Don Umberto, making it possible, bringing people together, creating opportunity for him to be able to do what he is here for. That means initiating people, or really even channeling these energies into the earth. And I said channel, but he's a transmitter, so he taps into the Grand Central Sun and he connects with a certain aspect of divinity that is a ray. And that aspect he is able to transmit into the person, but also into the earth. So he was with us at Mount Shasta for about 12 days. Today he flew back home to, really, I don't even know the name of the location because it's little villages. Really, you will see here some images in Peru, in the high Andes, really living what he calls in poverty. And this is, for example, a house. This is someone's house where they gather. This is all from a documentary, these pictures, because we were not able to take pictures. But if you are interested, then The Path of the Sun is a wonderful documentary where can you see Don Umberto and what he offers in terms of planetary healing. So yesterday, actually very many months ago, I was told that something really special would happen on 9/9, but I didn't really think that that would be the result of our work with Don Umberto, because we at that point didn't even know we would be gathering with him. But as it always is, we had a very long lunar eclipse on Sunday, September 7th. It was an unusually long eclipse. It lasted for many hours, and in Pacific time it started around 8 a.m. in the morning and was complete by about 2 p.m. in the afternoon Pacific time. So that's a long lunar eclipse. And you know, eclipses always either open portals or close portals. It's always either a beginning or ending. So I didn't notice anything really unusual, supernatural on Sunday, except of course we had miraculous transmissions with Don Umberto. But yesterday, which is the 9th September, so 9/9, around 5 p.m. in the afternoon when we got home, I went outside to what I call a portal through which I deliver the results of all the work we do, whether we do it with Don Umberto or just somewhere around the world, whatever it is simply about connecting dots. And so it's a gift to our Mother Earth for her ascension, and you can of course do the same thing. If you find that you can sense, for example, a certain special, important, energetic point, it could be in your backyard, in your home, then when you travel, for example, you go to Australia, to Uluru, or you go to New Zealand to connect with the elemental queendom, or you go to the Himalayas, you go to Machu Picchu, you go to Lake Titicaca, you go to the pyramids, then you are actually collecting codes. So these codes are now in your light body. You've collected codes. And so now you have codes that you can carry just in your light body. That's wonderful, because every location that has a lot of powerful codes will, of course, have an effect on the light body of the human who's interacting with the field. But you can also do something even more conscious, not just to carry it around you, but to actually deliver it. And you can find a portal maybe in your backyard. That's what I do. I have a portal through which I deliver codes. So when I bring codes, I do specific ceremony for Divine Mother, and I offer those codes to her. So yesterday when we arrived at home, it was the first thing I wanted to do, before even unpacking, of course, so that you bring the fresh codes. And so I went to give her the codes from all the Karpai, all the transmissions, all the initiations. And suddenly the air started to smell different. And even though it didn't rain here and we didn't have a storm, it smelled like really fresh rain after like a summer storm and rain. It was very strange. And I noticed it because, when you smell these etheric energies, you also smell, like I said, they either smell good or don't smell good. So it smelled really, really good. And so I went to my portal and I started to deliver the codes. And I always touch the earth, touch the soil, touch the ground when I do that. And suddenly I noticed something that never happened before. Truly in my life, I've never felt this before. The earth was actually buzzing. She was 100% buzzing. It was not just electric, it was a buzz and it was a vibration. She was vibrating. And I texted a friend saying, "This is really strange." Like absolutely unbelievable to me. Never felt that before in my life. In that moment, as I'm delivering the card by and I'm telling her all about the work with Don Umberto, and I'm just, kind of shedding the code for her, in that moment, my phone started to indicate that we have geomagnetic storm. So, I looked and it was G1, but within split second, it was G2. So I thought, okay, surely there are some particles causing this. So I left it at that. I just thought it was incredible the way, the timing of it all. And then this morning, if you follow space weather, so I learned that scientists absolutely had no explanation. There were no particles causing this. There was no scientific explanation for what happened yesterday. Some of you said that you watched Stefan Burns. I did not watch Stefan, but I always, watch space weather. And that's exactly what happened. It was this unbelievable, I would say, energy, whether it was from Don Umberto or not, whether we co-created it or not, it doesn't matter. But yesterday on 9/9, something happened to the electromagnetic field of the Earth that actually is scientifically inexplicable at this point. That's very, very unusual. So, of course, I think about it. I think about it the way you do. Well, if ascension is all about the electromagnetic field changing, then yesterday was a big change that was not caused by the sun, our physical sun. But we were working with a grand central sun, which our science, of course, doesn't really speak about or takes into consideration. But the Earth yesterday and her electromagnetic field went through a very inexplicable shift in the field. Now, what does the electromagnetic field actually influence? It influences all life on planet Earth. In 2020, Divine Mother told me things, I never ever thought about, never knew about. That's how I knew, because I didn't know that something really valuable is being transmitted. And she said ascension will be very much about the change in the electromagnetic field of the Earth, where suddenly we again restore the rainbow body of the Earth the way she used to have it, which is electromagnetic in nature and actually more magnetic for that one reason, that we are on a planet that had a design of the divine feminine, Maravati. Maravati, and it's a planet that had elemental influences, Ma for water, Ra for fire and light, for sun, Va for air, and then Ti to represent divine feminine. So our blueprint is the same blueprint that Venus has at the moment, and it's divine feminine. And so divine feminine is much more magnetic, and divine masculine energy is electric. So magnetism is the energy of mother, and electricity is the energy of divine father spirit. So when there is a change in the electromagnetic field, it is an ascension shift. Everything is influenced by the electromagnetic field. Now, during our event with Don Umberto and the 2 days where I present and then 2 days where Don Umberto does his thing, I always learn from Divine Mother new things that I never thought about and never knew. Because when we attune to the Divine Self, we learn from the Divine Self directly through our soul, through the Mother aspect and the Father aspect. And it was during the first day, I think, of first or second day, that I learned through this direct receptivity of information that the false matrix, because it was electromagnetic too, the false matrix was creating that false kind of boundary, the membrane around us. And it was electromagnetic, but it was actually tweaked electromagnetic field. It was not natural. It was generated artificially. We know that there is a difference between artificial world and natural world. Natural world has natural electromagnetic field and artificial worlds have artificial electromagnetic fields. So Divine Mother told us the first 2 days that to be in the very, very high mountains, like, very high mountains, like 16,000 feet, you would be above the falsely generated electromagnetic field. When she said that, I was blown away because I thought about the Karo people who, maybe like many other cultures, say that when you are in these higher mountains, very high mountains, not like Mount Shasta is not high enough or tall enough, but when you are in a very high elevation, they say you are in the upper world. Now I thought, that's right, you are in the upper world because you're not in the illusion of the false matrix. That's why the big yogis would only go to the tall mountains like, Yogananda, Himalayas, and Babaji, to be above the false electromagnetic field. So that's all really interesting, even though now, as you know, we are in the post false matrix era, and yet we have all the different systems and even the beings around us from the false matrix, but the false matrix is not operational and will never be again. But we have all that the false matrix created. So think about the manipulation of the electromagnetic fields and how it also affected our DNA. Since our DNA is an antenna and receives a signal, so when you tweak what the DNA is receiving, you're going to be receiving different reality. What about if we tweak what our nervous system is receiving? Then we all will be receiving illusion. And that's exactly how it happened. It is the manipulation of human DNA, and it is the manipulation of human senses. And so then we seem to have a collective reality, and we all, of course, agree upon it. It's almost like all of us are watching the same TV channel, which is artificially created for our senses and even for our DNA to receive. And then we all are, of course, in the same movie theater watching the same movie saying, yeah, that's reality. I can see it, I can smell it, I can touch it, I can taste it. And I can hear it. So that's how reality was created. Now we are in that post era of the false matrix. So the electromagnetic field for each individual is changing because the earth is changing. In the past, it was possible for an individual to change their own electromagnetic field. And the method that I knew personally, 2 methods, was Kriya Yoga, which is what Babaji transmitted to humanity for liberation, and then the rainbow body of Tibetan mysticism. So the 2 successfully were able to liberate a person from the false electromagnetic field. Since now we are in a very different world, we just notice that we still have it around us, but it is not in operation right now. It's not being run by anyone. It doesn't have a source. It's not plugged in, but we still have all the residue here. That includes the residue of the beings that I call them the serpents of chaos, that are still here. And we still have beings here who carry, of course, the imprint of imbalance. And imbalance is really also the imprint of what we would call evil. So it now is a personal responsibility not to allow these energies within us. And for that reason, we will be working with actually our etheric field. As you know, sorry, I will skip a few things. We are beings that are created kind of like a waterfall. It originates in spirit, in the divine self. Then it spills down through a pathway we can call the pillar of light. It's actually our multidimensional spine. It is the pathway through which we were supposed to always be connected to spirit. And then spirit descends that light, not itself. Spirit does not descend. Spirit remains absolutely beyond time and space. It never becomes one with time and space. It always remains in the eternal now, unchanging, unchangeable, and complete. But it creates a smaller body of itself, which is our soul. And so from that soul, we then have mental body, step down, emotional body, step down, and we also have an etheric body. Very often people refer to the etheric body as aura, but actually I prefer etheric body for many reasons, because aura, people think about the aura photos, but it is actually not like that. So the etheric body is much more like a snowflake. And that snowflake, for many people, as you can imagine, is kind of dirty and it's a little broken. So it's like a web of many, many energies that we are able to interact with. And that ideally, if they are pure and clean and come from high sources, would be flowing all the way into the physical body. As a matter of fact, our physical body is actually created upon a blueprint that originates in the etheric body. So let's say you had 5,000 reincarnations on planet Earth. You always had the same body elemental, the same body deva, helping you create form, which would be a physical body, into which your spirit and also the light of your soul can send light to animate you. So then, let's say in one lifetime the person is beheaded, in another lifetime the person is starving, and all these, another lifetime there's trauma, and so on and so on. All that information remains written in the etheric body until it is transmuted, until it is deleted. It just doesn't go away. So very often illness doesn't originate in the physical body itself. It can, but it also doesn't have to, and it would be a signature, a pattern in the etheric body that then is being transmitted into the physical until the person cleans their own etheric body. So what we will be working with here, as long as I'm able to, for the next, hopefully, a few days, I don't know, as we are expecting a grandchild. So I will do these calls as often as I can so that we can restructure our etheric body and remove all the signatures that are absolutely out of balance and, signatures that cause actually imperfections in our life. To me, our life is exactly a mirror of our energy. Our energy is multidimensional. We are never just the person that you see in the mirror that is your friend or your family. That never is the full picture. It is the smallest picture we see. If I want to know someone, I can tell you every single human being at their highest level has a divine self. And that divine self is the same for every single one of us. So if we really want to know someone, it's best to look into their divine self and find yourself in it too. I am. That's it. So we are really identical divine selves, but we are not identical at the soul level, even though the soul was created the same way for all of us. But within the soul are different energies for every single one of us. Within the soul. The soul is like a container for energy, and that energy would be completely different for every single one of us. We are like chefs. We are like cooks. We are cooking, but who's really cooking is the soul. And then we are a little bit the result of the cooking. So within the soul could be so many millions of ingredients, and they could be different for each one of us. Or they could be similar. But they could also be very, very different because each soul is having a completely unique experience of its dreaming. The soul is dreaming. The soul is always dreaming. And so all those dreams will be different, and we would call them experiences. And yet the soul is a container for them, which means the container is never actually affected by those ingredients. It remains totally untouched by all the energies. So all of this is the multidimensionality of our being. This is the most simple way to explain our multidimensionality. And all of this, of course, is something we self-realize with a little bit of meditation. With a little bit of meditation. You know, all of this is much easier to experience these days, especially, than what one might even imagine. With a little bit of effort, everything can be unlocked. Once you see it, you are changed. You still will look the same. The body still might be doing its own thing, but it will be receiving different information from the soul and different information from the spirit. So our goal, since we have these multidimensional fields, is to first clean up a bit, as you know, especially in the etheric body. Cleaning up in the etheric body is really wise because our etheric body determines our thoughts, the quality of our thoughts. It determines our feelings, our emotions. And as you know, every word, every action, every thought, every feeling, it's all instantaneously recorded into the field. So I always say, if we cannot be lovingly kind, it's better not to be anything else for a moment, step into nothingness. And, you know, we've had many teachings about mindfulness and choosing our words wisely. Of course, choosing actions really wisely, and all of it. And the reason for that is, you know, imagine someone spewing some negative energies towards someone else. It goes into their own field. It's like it just goes into their own field. That's it. Bam. And now what you gonna do? So that's why mindfulness is very important, because ultimately we only see the result of our own consciousness or unconsciousness, and it will be reflected into our lives. Life is a mirror. I always say, if you want to know someone's energy, look at their life. Is it working? Is it not working? Is it harmonious? Is it not? Is it wonderful? Is it not? It really is just a reflection of energy. And sometimes it feels unfair, but it never is. It always is just a reflection. Constant reflection, whatever it is. But even, you know, like the big yogis like Yogananda, they often consciously took on difficult situations so that they could transmute all this dirt for humanity. So that's the other option. When we work with our etheric body, it is like a snowflake. And ideally, this would be my ideal etheric body if I was choosing what energies do we want in our etheric body. We want the energies that come directly from spirit, and spirit in our case is the I am. It is our divine self, is the highest aspect of our being. If possible, let's have a lot of flow of information, energy, and light from the divine self. Then, if you have a soul, which, you know, it's an option actually, eventually the soul becomes one with the divine self. So, but most people probably have a soul. So the soul also, we want to have a flow of beautiful, the soul is always good, the soul is always love. We want to have that light and love of the soul also flowing into the etheric body. Then the other sources that we would want to have if we were designing our etheric body would be solar light. So not only our physical sun, but primarily the grand central sun. So we would want to have a lot of solar energies through the sun, beyond into the other central suns. Then we would probably also want to have a lot of star energy. So it's light. So we're going for all the light we can get. And so we would be connecting with the light of Sirius, not with beings, with the light of Sirius, with the light of the Pleiades, with the light of the Great Bear, with the light of the Big Dipper. So we are always going for sources of light. and then have a flow of that light through our snowflake. This is our personal mandala. But, how does it really work? Well, first, usually for the typical human being that probably we all have been, or maybe even are, it's good to first clean up the snowflake, restructure it a little bit. And for that, we will now receive a purification with Orin. In this amazing course, which is all about working with the Devas, so the queendom of the mother. This truly, and I always say, I don't know how much longer humanity will be asked to do this, but this is the purpose or the mission for humankind right now. Everyone who can perceive the call, I believe, will receive the call, and that's working with the angelic queendom, the queendom of the Devas, and also the body elemental. In this course, there is an incredible initiation into the working with the Devas through Orin, and Orin introduces us to the radiant mother of the Devas, of the angelic queendom. So this is the one we were using during our work at Mount Shasta, and after I say we planted her, because she had so much energy within her, we planted her here in front of the mountain. You see Mount Shasta behind. So this was our embodiment of the radiant angel. And in this course, Orin works with the Devas, who are the dragon queens. We are really dragon babies at this time because we got reactivated from the serpent energy, which was wonderful, but evolutionary energy is from serpent to dragon. And these are forces of nature. The serpent energy that was within us and became dormant, it was the rainbow serpent of creation, our own unit. And last year in July, it was on July 11 and 12, humanity received a DNA, we call it activation, but it was really restoration of DNA, but also an upgrade. And we could upgrade it. And if we do a call this week for sure, then I will announce it on Circle, and we will go into the depth of DNA, what it really is, and why now we are much more like dragon babies, coming into our dragon self. A lot of people are talking now about dragons as something external, but it's actually also very much internal. So our serpent received wings, and we are now, it's really an ascension state where the serpent starts flying and becomes a dragon. So I hope that answers it a little bit. And we will go into the meditation, and Andy has a great question about the moon, and definitely we should talk about it too, but it was part of the false matrix, and it was mainly what was behind the moon. It was a base for the beings who were operating the false matrix. So not necessarily in, but actually behind, hiding always on the other side of the moon. And so let us go now into this amazing work with Orin to do cleanse of our etheric body. Once again, you are cleaning your snowflake. Really go for it. This is liberation. Liberation is when we get rid of illusion, when we get rid of all these sediments, and then we can see clearly. But number one, we want to see our own divine self, because that is really our goal here. So with that, I'm going to pause recording as we always do. We got permission from the Orin and Deben Foundation to work with this course only. We always have one audio we can work with, but at least I can introduce the course that way. What a blissful purification of our etheric body and our radiance. This all, if you have the album, for example, if you have the course, then work from 1 to 12. Don't skip one. This time, I went straight to just whatever I thought was the most powerful one for us to do here and useful. But once you work through the entire course, you get to 12. Usually there are 12 transmissions in a course. And the 12th one I consider to be one of the most powerful journeys and transmissions with Orin for planetary service. Truly life-changing, not only for yourself, but for all life. And so we will speak about it hopefully tomorrow if we have a call. But think about it this way. The false matrix was using false, artificially generated electromagnetic fields. Our DNA was affected and impacted in a negative way. Our code was damaged and sometimes even destroyed within our DNA. And DNA is not just physical. Our DNA is actually multidimensional. And we are not speaking about ancestral DNA. That DNA for us has been released. We are now in the DNA of our origin, cosmic origin. So these electromagnetic fields, EMFs, of the false matrix were targeting our DNA code. Isn't that incredible? And so now that we are restoring our divine DNA once again, which started to happen actually in 2020, then we are in a new electromagnetic field of nature. Of nature. And so the more we go to true nature, and that's why, the high mountains, where the Kero people talk about very high mountains, beyond these distorted electromagnetic frequencies. So that's very different experience for our DNA, for our code. So much to unpack here. Enjoy this new electromagnetic field around us. Again, stepping upon the earth with your feet, very important if you can. If not, at least keep touching the ground with your hands or touch a tree so that you can connect to these new electromagnetic fields and enjoy. Thank you so much and many blessings.